Hello and welcome to tonight's call with Congressman Mark Veasey. In just a moment, we'll be joined by Congressman Veasey. During tonight's call, we'll be taking questions from constituents like you. To ask a question, please press star 3 on your telephone keypad to enter the question queue. You can also sign up for our newsletter by pressing star 6 at any time during the call. Again, press star 3 to ask a question and star 6 to subscribe to our newsletter. If you'd like to participate in this event in Spanish, press star 0 now. With that, I'll turn it over to Congressman Mark Veasey.
Thank you very much. I appreciate everyone being on this evening and you sharing some of your time with me to ask questions about what's going on. This is Congressman Mark Veasey, and glad to be with you. Of course, I represent the 33rd Congressional District. That includes Dallas, Fort Worth, Arlington, Irving, Grand Prairie, Forest Hill, Cockrell Hill, and many other municipalities that are in the 33rd Congressional District. If you have not met me yet, well, thank you again for being on. I know that members of our citizenry don't have all the time in the world and all the opportunities in the world to ask our members of Congress questions. And so we welcome everyone that lives in the district to participate on these teletown hall events and in-person events that we do. For those of you that have not had the opportunity to follow me closely, I serve on the Energy and Commerce Committee and the Armed Services Committees, which are obviously hugely important to this DFW Metroplex. Dallas-Fort Worth has a strong interest in bolstering both our national security and our energy sectors. It's also home to many brave service members and those employed to industries like the energy sectors, health sectors, and so many others. I'm proud to have used my position to work to solve pressing problems that face people in the Metroplex. My positions on these committees have helped to bolster jobs in these sectors and protect the livelihoods of those that call DFW home. And before I open it up to questions, I want to give you a quick legislative overview of what we have achieved under the Biden-Harris administration and what lies ahead for us as we continue through 2024. As you know, last Congress, the democratically controlled Congress alongside President Biden passed monumental pieces of legislation in 2021 and 2022 that are still helping the American people and the American economy every day. And here are just a few of those achievements. The American Rescue Plan. The American Rescue Plan was hugely important. It helped our kids during the time of COVID-19, and we helped to support the economy during that time as many people were not working. And that was a very important part of what we did during COVID-19. Also, when we had a Democratic majority in the House of Representatives, we also passed the bipartisan infrastructure law. That was hugely important because it helped do a lot of amazing things, like help for internet for needy families, replace lead pipes, create millions of good-paying jobs. We also passed the Inflation Reduction Act. That is the legislation that will cover costs that will lower costs for families, help clean up our environment, reduce the deficit, and ensure that the largest companies and billionaires are paying their fair share of taxes, something that we want to do to put people over politics. And I've also had the privilege of securing over $55 million in the past few years in our bipartisan government spending packages, which will help directly benefit the Metroplex by creating jobs, helping seniors, better in education, improving infrastructure, and more. I also want to thank some of the challenges Congress is facing right now, particularly because of our ineffective Republican majority, which has made this the least productive Congress since the Great Depression. You would literally have to go back to President Hoover to find a Congress that's this non-productive. And in the fall of 2023, the House of Representatives was sunk into further chaos when reckless, radical House Republicans ousted their own speaker. And despite eventually electing a new speaker, Mike Johnson of Louisiana, the Republicans in the House are still in chaos and still taking orders from their crooked criminal leader, Donald Trump. However, my Democratic colleagues and I remain focused on breaking through this gridlock to tackle pressing problems that we face at home and abroad. And recently, we came together to fund the government and its critical functions that help hardworking families and also secure funding for important projects right here in Texas. We wanted to make sure that we kept our government open. We have so many government employees here in the North Texas area, whether it's our regional FAA office or whether it happens to be the post office, Bureau of Printing and Engraving, and many, many others. We thank all of our government employees and their families, and glad that we're able to keep our government open. And I'm very happy to report that thanks to Democrats, the Republicans finally put a bill on the House floor that helped us keep the lights on. But in the next few months, we just can't do the basics. We have to do more. When Congress gets back from this particular recess period that we're on, we must focus on making sure that we get humanitarian aid to Gaza and that we support our allies in Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. And Republicans must work with us to secure the necessary funding to keep the Affordable Connectivity Program up and running. This is a program that helped millions of families, including right here in North Texas, be able to afford the internet for the first time. We got internet into low-income families' house. We provided broadband for low-income families, and that was hugely important. We need to make sure that we keep that program funded and keep it going. And most importantly, Republicans need to work with us to fix the border by passing comprehensive immigration reform now. They tanked the first bipartisan deal on purpose a few months ago because Donald Trump said that if you fix the disorder at the border, that it would help Joe Biden. And so it was Donald Trump that said, keep the border situation like it is because these optics help me. And people are sick of that. People are sick of elected officials and politicians in Washington, D.C. that do things just for political purposes. We should have passed that bill, and we did not. It was ridiculous. And again, we need for reckless, radical Republicans to stop playing these partisan political games and work with Democrats to make sure that we deliver results. And no matter what, I'm going to continue to be laser focused on delivering results for our community and tackling pressing issues like these. Again, thank you for attending the town hall tonight, and I look forward to serving you in Congress and keeping you updated on what my team and I are doing to deliver results and help Texas 33 thrive. And with that, I'll open it back up to the audience for questions.
Thank you very much, Congressman. And a quick reminder for everybody that's joined us on the line, if you've got a question you'd like to ask, all you need to do is press *3 on your telephone keypad to enter the question queue. Again, to ask a question, please press *3. And Congressman, a thought came to my mind while you were talking, and it relates to a question that was submitted online. And the question is, what's the greatest challenge you believe Congress must address in the next few months, sir?
The biggest challenge that Congress has to address in the next few months is we absolutely must 100% do something about the border. We need for the bill that was largely written by Republicans to come back on the House floor. We need for Speaker Mike Johnson to put that bill on the House floor. It has huge bipartisan support. He cannot let a handful of, again, reckless, radical Republicans control his conference. He can't listen to the Marjorie Taylor Greens of the world or the Lauren Boeberts of the world. He has got to put that bill and find the courage to put that legislation on the floor so Democrats and Republicans can vote for something, again, that will fix the issues that we have at the border. Plain and simple. It needs to be done. He has the power to do it. He can't wait any longer. It has to be fixed. We need for Johnson to act now.
Thank you very much, sir. Moving now to a call. We've got DeWarren from Fort Worth on the line with us. DeWarren, welcome to the line. You are live with Congressman Veasey. What's on your mind?
Hi, how you doing, Congressman?
Good.
Yes, I just wanted to know, would there be any help in Texas with the jobs and for felons? Not for bad crime felons, just for people with old felonies and on child support. Because right now there's like no help for us at all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Good question. And, regardless of the crime that was committed, when people are released back into society, back into a free society, they need to be able to work so they can take care of themselves and their families, because we know that it reduces the likelihood that they will return to a situation to where they have to be incarcerated. And so we absolutely need to be doing more. We've held job fairs in the past where we've actually invited employers that specifically were that were hiring people that have criminal records. And so we asked people to come to the job fair that wouldn't judge people and would give individuals a second chance. And as you know, one of the jobs that one of the things that I do as a member of Congress is that I go work at a different place once a month. We call it Mark Means Business. I've worked at a couple of places that told me that they actually will hire people that have criminal background records, but they still have a hard time retaining people. One of the places where I did Mark Means Business was a food manufacturer that makes snacks, that makes pigskin snacks for people. Very lucrative business, nationwide business. And they said at their factory that they hire people that have a criminal background record, but the work's hard, and that a lot of people end up not staying. And so please reach out to my office at 817-920-9086 or 214-741-1387. And we are more than happy to try to connect you with resources that can help people that have been incarcerated and are trying to do the right thing, get their lives turned back around, because it is hugely important. And I thank you for your question.
So a quick reminder for everybody that's joined us for this live telephone town hall. It is available in Spanish. If you would like to participate in this event in Spanish, please press *0 now on your telephone keypad. Again, to ask a question, you can press *3. And to subscribe to the Congressman's e-newsletter, you can press 6. Let's get on to our next question. Back out to Fort Worth. Alicia, you are live with Congressman Veasey. What's your question?
Hello, Congressman Veasey. I wear a lot of hats as a Fort Worth citizen, but the one that is closest to my heart is, of course, Mom. I'm not sure if you're aware, but there's been a study that was released recently that shows that groceries for an average family of 4 are $11,000 more expensive than they were this month in 2023. Families are suffering. We're working 3 and 4 jobs to keep elementary school-age kids in school and fed. What relief is in sight?
Yeah, we obviously need to do something about the food prices. We know that food prices have been going up. We saw a spike in food prices during COVID, in particular, and those prices haven't come down before again. And in some areas, we have seen prices go lower. We've seen gas prices lowered, for instance, thanks to President Biden and the record amount of oil and gas that he's tried to safely and environmentally soundly produce since he's been president. And, that has helped. The oil that he released from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, that helped bring down some gas prices. But we've seen some areas as it relates to food and groceries, we've seen those stay stubbornly high, and we need to try to get them down. There's no question about that. I'm really concerned, I will tell you, about some of the things that, not in Congress, interestingly enough, but Republicans in the state legislature are doing that I think is going to drastically increase prices and inflation when it comes to the groceries that we buy. Many of you know that there are many in our undocumented community here in North Texas and all around the state that work in things like food production. If you go to places that process chicken, for instance, if you go to farms and ranches that feedlots that produce beef, poultry producers, oil and gas producers, when we think about the fuel that's needed to transport our fuel to different places. Many of the people that work in the Permian Basin come from immigrant communities, hospitality, home building. People are very concerned about the prices of homes in the DFW area continuing to skyrocket. And if SB 4 is upheld by the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, I'm afraid that a lot of people that have expertise in areas like home building, for instance, that have expertise in areas like farming and agriculture, that have areas of expertise in oil and gas, that those people will fear and they will flee the state. And of course, if it's less people that work in certain areas, and so employers have to pay more for those particular skill sets, and there are less of them, then their services are going to be in more demand, which would naturally put an upward pressure on prices in all of those areas that I just named. And so I want you to please watch and look out for this SB 4 that has passed, because if the police can just harass people and just ask them, hey, prove that you're a U.S. citizen, you may see a lot of people that are skilled, that are working in all those areas, leave our state. And if it's less of them contributing to Texas, especially at the rate at which we're growing, we added 180,000 people to the DFW Metroplex alone in 2023. And so I want you to think about that. If we live in an area where more and more people need housing, and we have less people to build those houses, and less people to manufacture that food, and again, in so many other areas, it's going to mean higher prices for each and every one of us. So please tell your state legislature to stick to state legislative business and stop bringing that mess up, because it's going to put upward pressure on prices in Texas.
So, Congressman, I've got another question that was submitted online. They're asking, what is Congress doing to ensure the Affordable Connectivity Program that has lowered internet costs continues to be funded?
Absolutely. We need for Congress to desperately find the money to make sure that we can keep our that Affordable Connectivity Program going. The Affordable Connectivity Program is hugely important to the district that I represent. It is hugely important to low-income families that need to be able to have the internet up and running in their homes, so their children can do their homework, so they can study, so people that are lower income can start their own business if they want to be able to start, so they can do their research from home while they're taking care of their kids. It's hard for people to be upwardly mobile in this society without the broadband in their homes. And so we're doing everything possible to make sure that we get that funding secured. It's hard because even though it has benefited mostly rural America that mostly Republicans represent, they still haven't shown a sense of urgency in getting it done. But we absolutely must get the Affordable Connectivity Program funded, because a lot of families are depending on it. A lot of kids that are trying to finish up their homework and study for tests before school breaks in May are really, really counting on us, and we have to get it done. We can't sleep on that.
So you can stay up to date on what the Congressman is doing for you by enrolling in the Congressman's e-newsletter, and you can do that right now by pressing *6 on your telephone keypad. Again, get enrolled in the Congressman's e-newsletter. Please press *6. Let's get back up to another question. We've got Bill joining us in Dallas. Bill, you're live with Congressman Veasey. What's your question?
Hey, Congressman, how you doing tonight?
Good.
So I have a senior in high school, and as you might be aware, the FASA has been a extraordinarily difficult to navigate this year, and it is still a mess. What is happening to process the FASA and get these results to the colleges so our seniors can plan on where they're going to college next year?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That is that is definitely a big problem. And the Department of Education had made what they thought were fixes to FAFSA, and it just hasn't worked well. I'll be 100% honest with you. We have to do better. A lot of students, particularly low-income students and middle-income students, are really counting on FAFSA to be able to be eligible, not just for federal funding, but they have to fill out that so they can be eligible for even some private scholarships in some instances. And the fix on it just hasn't been what it should be. And that is something that we have an expectation in Congress that the Department of Education is going to fix, and they're going to make sure that it is easy and that it works for students and that it works for their families, and that all of the quirks that are in the system, that they're worked out sooner rather than later. Because I can tell you as a parent that we even had a hard time. I have a high school senior also, and we had a difficult time with the FAFSA for ourselves. And so I understand personally and professionally that it is a big problem. I 100% empathize with you, and we have to get it fixed. I mean, there's just no excuses. We absolutely have to get that fixed, and I know the Department of Education is working around the clock to work out, again, those issues that the system is having to try to make it more family-friendly and easy for everyone to use.
So next, we're joined by Terja in Arlington. Terja, welcome to the call. You're live with Congressman Veasey. What's your question?
Hello, Congressman Veasey. This is Tirza Brooks, and I am calling because I hear you saying a lot about the resources that have been provided for, like, low-income and struggling families. But I want to know what is happening for those of us who are in the middle class, who are now being stretched by the high prices that we see that are going on in our economy. And also, as a person who votes in every election, just to get to a point where we're not disparaging either party. I think now is the time for us to really buckle down and look at the issues and figure out, which way to go so that we are moving in a forward direction. Our country is being polarized by the rhetoric that we keep hearing on both sides. So how do we bring our country back together without fighting, but to be able to express the benefits from both sides?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That is a really good question. And I will tell you that, we've always had partisanship issues going back to the very beginning of the Republic. If you go back to the days of George Washington, there were always major disagreements and gamesmanship and jockeying for parties to be able to have an advantage over one another when it came to who would ultimately be decided to lead our country. And so that's not going to go away. I think what's happened that has really made it a lot worse is the fact that we only have a handful of districts in this country that are truly up for grabs, and that has to change. And I'll tell you, I'm in a district, obviously, that's a Democratic district. Joe Biden received about 68% of the vote in the district that I represent. That means that you have to win in your primary. I don't anticipate for there to be any close elections this November on the Democratic side or the Republican side when it comes to the 2024 elections, and that's a problem. And so I would say for citizens like yourself that understand that this has been that Democrats and Republicans have always been or what's now known as Democrats and Republicans. They had different names back then, but they have always sort of been at each other's throat, for lack of a better term, when it comes to partisanship in this country. But now there's a lot less emphasis on things like regionalism and local politics, and probably way too much national politics that are concerned when it comes to how and who leads this country. Advocating for more fair redistricting, so someone that lives in a really rich neighborhood like Highland Park, or someone that represents a really rich neighborhood like Highland Park, would have to vie for votes in South Dallas if they're in the same district, and have to vie for those votes with equal rigor and equal authority. And so that would help out a lot, because when you have I'll take one of our Senate districts, for instance, one of our state Senate districts, Senate District 10 that Phil King represents. It stretches into Stop 6 and goes all the way into Parker County and Palo Pinto County. Well, of course, Parker and Palo Pinto are very, very Republican counties. And so Phil King doesn't have to spend any time in Stop 6. But imagine if Phil King had to spend time in Stop 6 and he had to actually get votes in Stop 6. He probably wouldn't vote for something like SB4, or he would probably try to make bills a lot better and more fair for all Texans. And so I would say for those of you that are concerned for out-of-control partisanship in this country, that you do something about redistricting and demand that there be more fair districts to where the parties feel like the general election is a lot more important than the primaries. Because the problem is that it's too many people getting elected in their primaries in this country, and only about 30 or 35 seats out of 435 that are truly up for grabs.
So for everyone that's joined us online, this telephone town hall technology affords us the opportunity to do polling questions where we turn to you to get your input. And I'd like to do a poll question. You just use your telephone keypad to register your response. I will ask the question twice and repeat the options also twice. So here we go with it. Listen closely. What is the most important issue that you think Congress should prioritize? Creating good-paying jobs? Please press 1. Protecting access to health care? Please press 2. Sending aid to Israel and the Ukraine? Please press 3. Repairing our infrastructure? Please press 4. Securing our border? Please press 5. So again, we turn to you, everyone on the line with us, to answer this poll question, and to do so, please use your telephone keypad. What is the most important issue that you think Congress should prioritize? Creating good-paying jobs? Please press 1. Protecting access to health care? Press 2. Sending aid to Israel and the Ukraine? Press 3. Repairing our infrastructure? Press 4. Securing our border? Press 5. I see a number of people are registering their opinion. Thank you very much for taking part in the poll question. And now let's get back to another caller with a question. We've got Jason joining us from Dallas. Jason, welcome to the line. You are live with Congressman Veasey. What's your question?
Hello, Congressman. I was wondering what's being done about women's reproductive rights.
Yeah, women's reproductive rights in this country continue to be a huge concern for me. We do have a bill in Congress that would codify women's reproductive rights in all 50 states. I don't think that we're going to get that past this Congress in particular because of the structure of the U.S. House. But I will tell you that this is a huge issue, and it's starting to impact families that may have even had a different opinion on the issue of Roe v. Wade. For instance, in Alabama recently, you probably saw that state outlawed what's known as IVF, in vitro fertilization, and that is, not good for families that are trying to have a kid for the first time. And so, to get rid of in vitro fertilization for families is something that is bad. It's terrible, and just really another loss for women in this country. And so, I'm concerned. You're starting to see states, red states, jockey amongst one another to see who can be the most, who can be the most draconian to women in this country as it relates to their ability to be able to access health care. And it needs to stop. We need for people to stand up for women's rights and women's reproductive rights and freedoms in this country, and for families to be able to make these decisions together. And so I'm hugely concerned about this, and I hope that people will think about this issue when they go to the polls this November, because if they don't, it's only going to get worse. Again, with this recent IVF ruling from the Alabama State Supreme Court, it proves that it can only get worse. And if we don't vote, then we can expect for us to see further erosion in the area of rights when it comes to women's reproductive freedom and choices. Thank you for your question.
Just a moment ago, I asked everyone to participate in a poll, and I've got the results for you now. Thank you to everybody that did take time to answer the poll question. And the question was, what is the most important issue that you think Congress should prioritize? And ranking from most important to least, protecting access to health care came in at number 1, most important. Then we go to creating good-paying jobs. Securing our border came in 3rd. Repairing our infrastructure, 4th. And sending aid to Israel and the Ukraine came in 5th. So again, your opinion matters. It's very important to us. Thank you very much for participating in our polling there. And let's get back to another question. And we've got Ted on the line with us. Ted joins us now. Congressman Veasey, here's Ted, and he's thinking about Trump. Go ahead, Ted, you're live.
Greetings, Congressman Veasey. First of all, let me start off by saying thank you so much for reaching out to your constituents. I don't really know if I qualify. I'm up here by the Red River. I don't know if I'm part of your district or not, but I want to thank you very much for at least reaching out and giving all these articulate people a chance to speak. It's fantastic to hear what they have to say. My main concern is Donald Trump. How can he continue to violate the Constitution and violate judicial orders without any consequence? I want to see all of Congress take part in controlling this man. He is at the point where he's trying to destroy America. I really believe that he wants to be a dictator. He's mentioned it before, and I believe him. We've got to make special considerations or special actions or something in order to control this man. We are in extreme danger, And I think Joe Biden is doing all that he can legally. Of course, he's going to follow the Constitution. I believe in the man, and I want to go ahead and congratulate President Biden and Vice President Harris for the work they've done to improve our economy, and our economy continues to improve. And I just mostly feel kind of embarrassed to try to get on here and compete with all these articulate folks. They've asked some outstanding questions, and I hope that you can continue to pursue answers and solutions to these problems. I am a 100% disabled veteran. I want to compliment, I want to compliment our Veterans Administration here in Sherman for the work they do for the veterans. These folks work hard, and I want to be sure to let everyone know that if you need any help, and if you're in the North Texas area, I say the best spot that you can go for any kind of help will be the Veterans Administration Clinic in Sherman, Texas. It's also called the CBOC. And veterans are 50-50 right now with the kind of care that they're getting. 50% of veterans, I notice, are not getting good care. Just on reading answers and comments on our Facebook and our other channels that we can listen to veterans speak about. 50% are receiving poor care, but I've got to compliment the VA on the work they're doing and the work that you're doing I can't remember.
Mr. Tad, I thank you very much, sir, and we thank you for your service. Let's give the Congressman an opportunity to kind of dig in on some of the points that you've brought up for us, sir.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And also, too, Mr. Ted, I want to thank you for your service to our country. I know that being a disabled vet and how esteemed people that are disabled vets are held in our country. And so thank you for your service, and we need to do more to help our disabled vets. First, let me say this to you. I'll share with you my own personal family story. My grandparents moved to Fort Worth in 1949, 1950 with 6 kids. My mom was the 7th kid that was born. She was the first one born in Fort Worth, and they ended up having 9 altogether. And when they first came to Fort Worth, and before they were in Fort Worth, and they were in Corsicana, which is southeast of Fort Worth, they had their American rights limited. They had their constitutional rights hugely infringed upon as it related to their ability to eat where they wanted to eat, live where they wanted to live, send their kids to certain schools, be able to do things like just use the restroom when they were traveling from place to place, when they were going back and forth from Corsicana to Fort Worth. Just being able to pull over and use the restroom was a big ordeal for them. And my grandparents never, ever. My grandmother died just a few years ago at 106. My grandfather died when I was in 9th grade. My grandparents never told me that because an election didn't go your way and because our constitutional rights were infringed upon for most of our lives, they never told me that I should be a part of any sort of a mob that would try to discourage or disrupt the peaceful transfer of power that takes place in our country every 4 years or when a new president is picked. And the fact that Donald Trump did that, the fact that he said that if he didn't win this election, that there would be blood, the fact that he continues to question the integrity of our election system based on whether or not he wins, makes him, in my opinion, a clear and present danger. And there's debate out there whether or not he is knowingly working with foreign countries to undermine the United States of America. But even if he's not, even if you give him the benefit of the doubt and say that there's no way that he would ever work with Russians or any other countries that would want to bring our country down, when you question elections at the level that he has, when you encourage mobs to storm the U.S. Capitol until the vice president doesn't certify the elections, then you unwittingly become an asset for bad actors like the former communist regime known as the USSR and people like Vladimir Putin of Russia who worked under that regime. And so I'm very worried about him and what he would do to further erode and wreck our country. And for those of you, again, that feel as if every election should go your way, and if it doesn't, that you should accuse people of robbing and cheating and stealing and try to stop the peaceful transfer of power, I just want to remind you of that. You didn't experience anything like my grandparents did. And they never told me to do anything like that. And just the opposite. They told me to work hard and respect this country and honor our Constitution. And you absolutely must abide by those same rules that my grandparents instilled in me if you truly love this country.
So if you're enjoying this update, I encourage you to press *6 on your telephone now to get signed up for Congressman Veasey's newsletter. Again, press *6 to get signed up for the email update list. With that, let's go to our next question. We've got Axel in Denton joining us. Axel, you are live with Congressman Veasey. What's your question?
Hey, Congressman. Thanks for the town hall. This is my first one. I've never done this. Just a quick question about just kind of the state and fate of DACA. As a DACA recipient, we're kind of like always in limbo because there's no certain path to like permanency of residency or anything. So I'm just wondering if there's any plan to continue or expand the program in any way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know that the president is doing everything that he can to help make life easier for those that are under DACA. And for those of you that don't know DACA and the importance of it, I just want to tell you that a lot of the children that are qualified for DACA and that come in under that category, they're the children of the parents that. And I talked about some of those industries earlier, whether it is working in oil and gas production, whether it's working in food production, agriculture, hospitality, home building. Those are the kids of those parents that have played a crucial role in our society and in our communities across the country, including here in North Texas. And those kids have been well educated in many circumstances and have done well in high school and gone on to college to get their undergraduate degrees. There was a young lady that worked for me that fell into that category that now has a law degree from one of the top law schools in the country. And they want to help grow our economy and help make our society better. And we need to be doing everything that we can to help them do well in this society, and we're failing them right now. And I will tell you that we've all benefited from having food on our tables. We've all benefited from the lower housing prices. We've all benefited from the areas where they have aided our economy. And for years and years, until immigration became a hot button issue, there was certainly an understanding, whether it was a wink, wink, nod, nod, there was certainly an understanding that this was a very needed part of the workforce, and it wasn't much discouraged we didn't discourage people from coming over to this country to work in many of these areas. And so the fact now that it is controversial and to say that we can turn our backs on these families and on these individuals, it's just wrong. It's absolutely wrong. And the people that are saying that we should turn our backs on DACA recipients and their families are the same people that have financially benefited the most from this workforce and from this labor pool to put money in their pockets and pay their bills and send their kids to college and make their house payments and their mortgage payments. They're the people that always complain about having to pay taxes that have actually benefited the most. And we need to do everything that we can to support our president and be vocal when he looks for different pathways and different things that he can do through executive order to address the issue around DACA. I don't think that legislatively we're going to have anything happen this particular Congress as it relates to DACA because, as you can see, the immigration issue has become so poisoned that even the Republicans and the bill that they insisted upon, they ended up tanking it on purpose because Donald Trump asked them to, because they wanted to use the immigration issue and a lot of what you see happening along our border. They want to use that for political purposes instead of actually coming up with a political and legislative solution. And that is just a real problem that we have to address.
Next up, we got Johnny from Fort Worth. Johnny, welcome to the call. What's your question, sir?
Yes, my question is, what's going to be done about the mental health and the elderly housing and the cost of the elderly housing has gone up so much for people that are on fixed incomes, and you have the problem of the mental illness where young kids are becoming mentally ill at a faster rate than has ever become before. And when we put these kids in this mental illness program and we put these different medications on them, that seems to stir them even deeper into a mental illness situation. We have organizations and institute or facilities here. One in particular is called Pathways Adult Living. They have multi-ethnic places to stay. They're fully equipped, but nobody comes there, and it's not because of the condition of it. We're not addressing the mental illness from the youth to the elderly enough. I live in an elderly apartment complex, and the rent just keeps going up, but the quality of care keeps going down. And there seems to be nobody is addressing that issue, and where grandmas and grandpas are having to raise the grandkids now because that middle sector in life is usually incarcerated or have no idea of being a parent. So the grandparents are having to parent their grandparents, and they're not getting around able enough to help. And then most of the times all the programs are already shot, or if you need help with your utilities or if you need help with this or that, all the things are gone before anybody can use them. And I just want to know what can be done or should be done behind the mental illness issue, because The kids that are shooting and so forth, they're not always mentally ill. But sometimes when they start that, they become mentally ill. And I worked in the mental illness business for 20-something years. And it just comes and goes, but it's getting worse now. And now we have parents that are grandparents with Alzheimer's and illnesses themselves. So seem like we're running into a brick wall and we can't get around it. And we need to find a way to get around it. And Congressman Veasey, what would your take be on in solving that issue?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I appreciate your question because I was just talking about this with someone earlier today, and I will tell you that I think the situation is really bad and that we cannot do enough, but we have to try to help as many people as we possibly can. You probably have been reading some of the articles in the newspaper about the West 7th Entertainment District. Just to the west of my district outside of downtown Fort Worth. That used to be a fun, popular place for young people to go and hang out and have a few beers and have a good time. And, kids will be kids. And as the saying goes, boys will be boys. And sometimes boys will get upset at each other and shove each other around a little bit. Back in my day, for the most part, and we had some issues back in my day. I'm not going to say that my day was perfect. We had shootings and things like that occasionally. But for the most part, if somebody got into a fight, it was two guys. One would hit each other, one would win, and they would walk away. I've seen situations where kids will stomp and kick and beat and kick each other in the head when someone's already down and there's nothing else they can do. Like they have no self-control. This last shooting that happened in the West 7th Street corridor, there was an altercation between two young men. One man went to his car and came back with a gun to shoot the other guy. Now, common sense would tell you that if you can walk away, you should get in your car and leave and go someplace else or go home and cool off. Instead, he came back to the establishment and misused his firearm because no real man would use a firearm with a lot of other people around in a club. That's just absolutely nuts and makes you look like you're incompetent when it comes to the handling of a firearm. And so just think about all of those steps that you have to take and what your mental competency must be if you do those things. And so we have to be honest about the mental health issue in this country that is hampering a lot of our young people that, as you mentioned, are being raised by their grandparents who don't have the same energy level and may not have the same mental competency that they had in certain situations, like you mentioned, things like dementia when people get older and what have you, to where a lot of these children are raising themselves or maybe they're sort of co-parenting these houses if someone is ailed, like a grandparent that has, memory issues and what have you. These are very serious issues. They're showing up in our public schools, and I don't care what school district, because I hear people saying, well, I'm going to put my kid in this school district or my grandkid in that school district. It doesn't matter. We've seen school districts all across the DFW Metroplex have issues. We had a school shooting in a school district just to the south east of my district. That's one of the most coveted school districts in the entire state. It was Timberview High School, where a boy ended up shooting three other students and a teacher. He was trying to shoot one student and ended up shooting three or four others. And that's a school district that people, for the most part, liked. And so the school district's not going to change your kid's mental health outcome. We need to be serious about addressing these issues around mental health. They do impact our kids' achievement levels in schools. And until we do this, why do we think anything different is going to happen? I've been reading about, we need more charter schools and we need more vouchers. Well, why do you think anything different is going to happen if we don't address what's going on inside of these children? We have to do that. Anyone that thinks that a quick fix like a charter school or a voucher is going to help what we're seeing which is the aftermath of K through 12, what's happening in the streets right now, you're not going to see any sort of fix until you address a lot of those mental competency issues.
So, Congressman, looking at the clock, looks like that's all the time we have for Q&A, and we need to begin to wrap up this call. But I want to make sure that we give you a few moments for some closing thoughts, please.
Yeah, I just want to tell everybody thank you very much for being on the call today. Please go to veasey.house.gov so you can learn more and more about the different things that we're doing. We just had a Congress coffee with your congressman just a few days ago, where I went to one of the local coffee shops and answered questions from people in person. I'm still doing my Mark Means business, where I go and work at a different place. I worked at a place off of Alta Mesa not too long ago in South Fort Worth, and next month we'll work at a daycare in Dallas, to learn about what daycare workers and what their jobs are like. So please continue to follow us and what we do. If you need casework, please call our Dallas and our Fort Worth offices at 817-920-9086 or 214-741-1387. If you need for me to come to events, please reach out to both of those offices as well and let us know. We want to be a resource. We want to be helpful, and we thank you for joining us this evening.
To echo those words of thanks for everyone that's joined us for tonight's telephone town hall with Congressman Mark Veasey. If you haven't spoken to a member of our team yet about subscribing to the Congressman's e-newsletter, please stay on the line. And at the sound of the tone, simply spell out your name and email address slowly, and we'll get you signed up. Thanks again for your time this evening. We hope you have a safe and healthy evening. Have a great night. Bye-bye.